After I finished Janwar, I took a little break, went to London, and one day Mr. Nadeem came to my hotel. He was waiting for 4 hours, wanting to meet me, and met him, and he expressed a desire to work.
Just go back in time, 1987, ये साल आपके लिए बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट रहा है
क्योंकि मैं यहाँ पे एज अ चाइल्ड पैदा हुआ, यहीं बड़ा हुआ, बहुत 60s देखा यहाँ पे. चेंज केम इन द 80s व्हेन वीडियो का एडवेंट हुआ. टेक्नोलॉजी ने आके फिल्म इंडस्ट्री को बहुत बुरी तरह मारा. माई बिलीफ वॉज दैट इफ आई कैन टच वन हार्ट विद दिस मूवी, आई एम अ विनर. Hi, I'm Suneel Darshan, filmmaker, and you're watching Bollywood Hungama.
Just go back in time, 1987, ये साल आपके लिए बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट रहा है.
मेरे लिए तो मेरे फिल्म लाइन का सारा सफ़र ही इम्पोर्टेंट है, क्योंकि मैं यहाँ पे एज अ चाइल्ड पैदा हुआ, यहीं बड़ा हुआ, बहुत 60s देखा यहाँ पे. बच्चा था लेकिन समझ थी थोड़ी बहुत, तो समझ लेता था क्या हो रहा है. फिर 70s देखा जब बहुत फिनोमिनल ग्रोथ आई हिंदी फिल्म इंडस्ट्री में. बहुत ज़बरदस्त फिल्में, राज कपूर, मनोज कुमार, all those filmmakers, Ramesh Sippy, all reaching their pinnacles in the 70s. फिर the crash of the 80s आया, और उसके बाद मेरा फिल्म प्रोडक्शन के जोन में मेरा आगमन हुआ. And I started my first movie in 1987 called इंतकाम. It was directed by उस वक्त के बहुत सक्सेसफुल फिल्म डायरेक्टर थे मिस्टर राजकुमार कोहली. उन्होंने ऑफर किया, he would like to direct a film for me. It was very nice of him and generous of him to say that. And उनके साथ मैंने, लेकिन उनकी जो तरीके थे फिल्मों के, जो स्टारकास्ट थी, उसके जगह मैंने सोचा कि क्यों ना धर्मेंद्र, जितेंद्र, शत्रुघ्न सिन्हा की जो फिल्में वो बनाते थे, उनके जगह क्यों ना हम सनी देओल और अनिल कपूर इस नेक्स्ट जनरेशन पे लेके एक सीनियर डायरेक्टर के साथ फिल्म बनाई. मीनाक्षी शेषाद्री भी थी उसमें, और उसके अलावा जितने फिल्म इंडस्ट्री के जो वेटरन्स थे, दे वर आल्सो कास्ट इन द कैरेक्टर रोल्स. यस, 87 में फिल्म शुरू की, 88 में वो फिल्म रिलीज़ हुई. रिलीज़ से पहले वो जब फिल्म सेंसर हुई तो मैं रीजनेबली क्या कहूँगा, आई एम नॉट फैनेटिकली कंज्यूमरिस्ट काइंड ऑफ अ पर्सन, बट सेंसर ने उस फिल्म को लगभग 3600 फीट चॉप ऑफ कर दिया. एंड आई नेवर न्यू व्हाई इट हैपेंड, बट क्योंकि हुआ, और हमारा फ़र्ज़ बनता है कि भाई पहले प्रोटेस्ट करो और फाइट करो, और फिर जब व्हेन they don't relent, then you have to give up in the race. तो कुछ वो फिल्म रिलीज़ की गई, लेकिन वो फिल्म जो एक्चुअल एलिमेंट्स में थी, उस एलिमेंट्स में सिनेमा तक नहीं पहुंची. I was told then that Rajkumar Kohli, in the previous few films that he made, he would have a lot of repeated censor problems, and वो लोग बैन कर दिया करते थे फिल्में. 80s में तो बैन करते हैं तो ऐसा ही था, भी बैन कर दो. जो चीज़ गवर्नमेंट को या सोसाइटी के कुछ एलिमेंट्स को पसंद नहीं आती, या कभी कभी फिल्म इंडस्ट्री की राइवलरीज भी होती थी उसमें, तो वो सब कंसिडर करके आई स्टिल गॉट ऑफ द मूवी. आई वाज़न्ट सैटिस्फाइड, I'll be honest with you, but at least I didn't stand to lose a lot of money or stuff like that. I got out safely. It was time to move ahead.
सुनील जी, आपके इर्द गिर्द आपकी फैमिली आर ऑल इनटू सम और द अदर वे द फिल्म्स, तो क्या बचपन से ही ये एक you were going into the right direction कि आपको फिल्मों में ही आना है, प्रोड्यूसर, डायरेक्टर बनना है?
To be honest, मैं बॉम्बे स्कॉटिश स्कूल में था जी, लेकिन जब भी मैं रिफ्लेक्ट करता हूँ, पीछे देखता हूँ, तो मुझे ऐसा याद आता कि मैंने 4 साल का था जब मैंने मेरे महबूब फिल्म देखी, और कल रेडियो पे एक फिल्म का गाना चल रहा था, ताजमहल उस फिल्म का नाम था. मुझसे शायद उस वक्त मैं 3 साल का था, और आई रिकॉल कि मैंने ये फिल्म लोटस सिनेमा में बॉम्बे में देखी थी. And then my father was producing a film called Samson, with Dara Singh, Mumtaz and Feroz Khan, and that was released in 1964 when I was 4 years old. And I recall going to the sets of that movie and watching the shoot. So somewhere cinema was always the only cause of existence.
So when did you realize that it's time to direct now?
That was a journey. I was ready to make a film when I was 14 or 15 years old. I wasn't very
Acha.
sure. But, there's protocol, you have to go through education.
Right.
So I finished my graduation. And my family thought I would be either adopting a course in chartered accountancy, or go into business management at that point of time. Those were the happening zones. But I mustered some courage and went up to my father and said, Dad, can you help me get a job? I said, job where? He said, with Raj Kapoor's. And he said, you want to get into movies? No way. Film line, you're capable, you can go out. And he had spent his entire life in the film industry. So he knew the pitfalls here as well. He had great rises, He was a very, very big distributor, very successful distributor, I'll say. A successful film producer as well.
Yeah.
And he just thought that, the kids need to go on to the next layer.
Yeah.
But जिद थी, obsession था, जो भी था, he said, no, not getting into the production aspect of film because I don't appreciate the kind of lifestyles they lead.
Yeah.
So I was,
But this has always been the case, right? We've always had, somebody saying that movies में अगर जाना है तो lifestyle आसपास की पसंद नहीं है. That's always been a barrier. Would you agree?
I personally did not feel it then.
Okay. Now, what about now?
Things have changed drastically.
Things have changed.
So I normally, I've been through the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, then the 2000s, the millennials who now become, they're 20, 21, 22-year-olds. So I'm interacting with them presently. But yes, har waqt ka apna ek taqaza tha. I thought the 70s were beautiful just as the 60s. Then the change came in the 80s when वीडियो का एडवेंट हुआ, टेक्नोलॉजी ने आके फिल्म इंडस्ट्री को बहुत बुरी तरह मारा. और यहाँ लोग सोच रहे, मोस्ट ऑफ आई थिंक ओवरसीज़ के तो जो इंडियन सिनेमास थे करीब करीब बंद हो गए थे उस ज़माने में. एंड वी डिडंट नो वेयर इट वाज हेडिंग, बट आई मेड दिस मूवी एंड आई गॉट आउट ऑफ इट सेफली. सो इट वाज, आई सेड नाउ एज अ प्रोड्यूसर आई नो द जॉब. I said next step, direction. But I had a younger brother called Dharmesh, and it was decided between us that okay, I'll handle everything, the overall supervision, and I'll launch him as a director. That's how Lutere was born. Yes, a beautiful movie. I stand by it even today. I think it's one of those beautiful classic films where you have, you have the commercialism intact, but it's got sensitivity, it's got warmth, it's got romance, it's got drama, everything, and fantastic performances. So yes, Juhi was known for the first time to have got into this pink shirt and pranced on the beach and whatever, wet and all that. But that was not what was really important to look.
Right.
What you have to, if you ever watch that movie, I'm very, very sure you'll really enjoy the movie. You'll understand what passion is.
How lovely.
That's how it was.
So, giving that, platform to Dharmesh Darshan, who then went ahead and has directed some of the most amazing films like Raja Hindustani, Dhadkan, to then the film that you directed, wrote, produced, which is Ajay. My question to you is that क्या आप चाहते थे कि सनी देओल इसमें काम करे, बिकॉज आपने अपने करियर की शुरुआत बैक इन 1987 भी उनके साथ की थी?
जी हाँ, मैंने पहली फिल्म उनके साथ की. तब वो खुद भी relatively new थे.
जी.
He was young. Definitely was Dharmendra's son, so he had a pedigree thing to it. And we believed in him because when we grew up, Dharmendra was the He-Man. He was the greatest guy happening.
Yeah.
Even as an image, it was something that was, it was something that was idolized. And we had some common connections because of which I too, in my process of thinking, I also somewhere put Sunny Deol onto a pedestal. And I went on to make, सिनेमा में अजीब से इमोशंस होते हैं इंसानों में. फिल्म के इमोशन कहीं कहीं आपके ज़िंदगी में आ जाते हैं. Yeah, I was almost moving ahead, but then there was some issues that came up, and it was quite an eye-opener of a film for me because he was supposed to do my next movie as well.
Okay.
He requested me to help him out with a film that he was making called London.
Okay.
And I dedicated almost 6 months to that movie till the time that I had committed myself to. And then, in spite of that, he could forget completing a movie. They hardly managed to start the movie. Mm-hmm. And the movie got dropped in London itself.
Okay.
And then he came back and he decided to to shoot the movie himself as a director. which was the earlier one had Gurinder Chadha
अच्छा.
as a director, but it didn't work for him, so it's okay. And he came back, but my commitment with him was just till then. And he was so, in its return, we had our documentations done that he would do my next movie because he owed me a sizable amount of money for Ajay.
Okay.
Because he was the distributor of the movie for overseas, which is an entirely long story, so I don't want to make it. I just cut it short. Against that money, he was supposed to do a movie for me.
Yeah.
That movie was Janwar. After we came back from London, somehow he started dilly-dallying. And I was like, I mean, now I know this guy inside out. 10 years is a lot of time. And if you don't understand a person in a very short time, you pay a huge penalty.
Was this the same rumor that were making the rounds back in the day that, you know, there was a signing amount that he had taken and he hadn't returned it to you?
A lot of, not just signing amount, that amount was converted into a signing amount, the amount which was to be paid for, you know, compensated there.
Yeah.
And plus for the duration that I had worked for him. Yeah. I had given my 6 months for a movie, performed to the best of my ability. But the problem was that when, you know, the captain of the ship is not performing, and I had established myself as a director itself, but as a friend, I'm even today, I feel that as a friend, I was always unconditional. I was there.
And
but no relationship can be a single-way street.
Right, true.
You know? So this guy suddenly went back on his words, and I thought, you know, that was terrible to do because a lot of, you know, there was a lot of investment that had been made on him, and he promised me, but the promise was in words that I will return it to you, but it didn't happen. So I went ahead. I said, now I can't waste the rest of my life. You know, I'll chase him at a later date. And I went ahead and I almost signed Ajay Devgan for Janwar.
Okay.
And he was very keen to do the movie. Wonderful guy, straight guy. You talk to him straight, he replies straight. But destiny had its own will. And what happened then was I got a call from Akshay Kumar just the day before I was supposed to sign Ajay. And he insisted he meets me. I said, fine. We met up immediately. Immediately, that day itself. You know, it was not to be left for tomorrow. That's how it was. And yes, he's a gorgeous looking boy. He was young then, don't forget. And he was very, he was known to be a very strict disciplinarian.
Okay.
And I thought, you know, he was the right thing that I needed at that point. The only thing that went against him at that point was he was not saleable. So there was no distributor who would touch the movie. He had a lot of movies on the set which had been abandoned at that point of time. Which included the shootings of movies like Hera Feri, Dhadkan, etc. So the producers didn't know how to take it forward in that scenario where marketability is not there.
Correct. We're talking about 1999.
98, 99.
99. But when I think about the year 2001, Suneel ji, what an interesting year. क्योंकि कितनी कमाल की फिल्में आई. And there was Lagan, there was Gadar in the same year. And in all these films, Ek Rishta also was the 7th highest grossing film, if I'm not mistaken.
See, I tell you what, there's a lot of perceptional games that happen in this industry. There are films, maybe Ek Rishta's notch would have been higher. But there are certain movies that are put onto the list which haven't actually done that well.
Yeah.
But they're perceptionally put up on that pedestal there. And because they're backed by so many names, you know, then you can't counter them. And I'm not the kind of person who will either play the game, the mischievous game, or try to even counter it. So I said, for me it was fine. For me, my belief was that if I can touch one heart with this movie, I'm a winner. I know that besides my own heart, there may be people in this room here, if they've watched it, their hearts must have been touched.
True, very true.
That's how the movie was.
Again, कुछ फिल्में ऐसी होती है ना जो हम जितनी भी बार देखो उतने कम है, and you have made such films that have had so many reruns on television that people have enjoyed and not skipped the channel too.
Yes, I'm told that in the COVID period, especially, my movies were shown all the while.
Yeah.
And they would be repeated, and the songs, you know, that beautiful music, and they were good movies also, actually.
Since you mentioned about music, Nadeem Shravan have also played a very important role in your films.
Where Nadeem is concerned, I was very impressed by what he had done for Raja Hindustani.
Ji.
And I was even more impressed. I'd heard the music of Dhadkan recorded before the film started.
Acha.
Some 3 songs were recorded. I said, boy, this guy is really in his elements. So I approached him for a movie to do after Ajay. And strangely, we came to a settlement, but then the mishap happened. He left India, and for a few years, he was not in circulation. And after I finished Janwar, I took a little break, went to London, and one day Mr. Nadeem came to my hotel. He was waiting for 4 hours, wanting to meet me. I met him, and he expressed a desire to work, and reminded me of the promise we had made to each other. Commitment is the right word. And I thought it was a great opportunity. I wanted to go ahead with Anand Venu, but there were some circumstances which were not falling in place.
Okay.
So it was great. Nadeem came in. My only problem was that I said, I'm here just for 2 days, and I'd wonder I'll have to come back, and then it was a little difficult to keep jumping between Bombay and London. So he said, no problem. Can you narrate the story to me? I said, right away. We sat and I talked the story out to him. The song situations I gave him. He said, can you give me 48 hours? I said, fine. He said, day after morning, can you please come to my sitting room? I went there, and when I rang the bell, I saw this guy pop his head out of the window. I said, gosh, this guy looks like he hasn't slept for the last 2 nights. Yeah, he was very passionate. He's very passionate for his work, towards his work.
How lovely.
And yes, I went and sat with him, and we had almost done the entire music of the film. It didn't need too much of selection. If there was a selection, it was at least a second alternative or third alternative, but never went beyond that. And I'd never worked like that. Whether it was, I'd worked with Lakshmikant Pyarelal before that. My first movie, I never worked thereafter. And then Anand Millan had done 3 movies for me. In Lutere, Ajay and Janwar.
Yeah.
And Janwar music was a phenomenal hit. And the people in the media or people in Bombay city are not aware of it. They rest in your mind. Hi, I'm Suneel Darshan, filmmaker, and you're watching Bollywood Hungama.